Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar. I'm expecting more people to join, but I think we'll just start now. And because we're expecting large numbers, this is a webinar, so you haven't got access to the chat, but you do have access to the Q&A. So we're hoping that you will add your questions to the Q&A, if you could see that at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer all your questions later in the meeting. However, I'm going to hand over to Saw now, who will introduce the scholarships.
Hi, I just wanted to say a few things. Hi, Minglaba, everyone. My name is Somu. I'm the project officer from Burma, who is overseeing the BB Online Scholarship program. So some of you might already aware that we have already opened this scholarship. The application opening day was in April. So yeah, I believe some you might have already applied or are looking forward to apply it. It's a pleasure to welcome you today to information sharing session on Burma Online Scholarship held in collaboration with University of London or is it UCL?
It's both.
So yeah, this year, Burma and the University of London / University UCL University College London will be supporting quite a number of students from Myanmar in pursuing online this professional graduate certification education PGCE teacher development. This online program was designed to help develop the skilled teacher professionals, especially in country contexts like Myanmar. We are honored today to be joined by a professor from UCL, a college of University of London, I believe. These professors, they have been involved in designing this PCG program, and they know quite well about the context of Myanmar. Have long been engaged in teacher development in Myanmar. So some of you, these professors, they already traveled to like Myanmar or Thailand, so all the time. So some of you might already met them in person. So there are like three part of the today's session. The first part is the PB presentation. So in the first part, I'll take about like 10 minutes to present about how to apply for PB online scholarship, eligible criteria, what what kind of supporting document you'll need to submit, and then that session will be in Burmese. And in the first half of the session, it will be led by our professor from University of UCL. Uh, they were, the presentation will be in English. Unfortunately, for today's session, there is no translation, so it will be Burmese and in English. So for those who aren't already but uh, planning to apply for this program in the future, who are still preparing the English, if you have a question, you may feel free to send your Q&A question in Burmese, but we'll prefer the question sent in English so that the professor, they can read and answer to you right away. So I'd like to before I start the presentation, I would like to hand over to Professor from UCL to briefly introduce about yourself. Thank you. I think better start off with Eileen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so hello, everybody. My name is Eileen Kennedy. I'm a professor at UCL, as Saul was just explaining. And I have been working with migrant communities in Thailand from Myanmar, and supporting people to access the PGCE. I mean, we've been co-designing courses that will support them in that journey. And we've had already a number of people who've joined the PGCE, so we're delighted to see that there are opportunities for more scholarships. Kim, do you want to?
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm an associate professor at IOE, and I am the program director and the original designer of the PGCE teacher development. I'll explain more about it in my presentation, which is short to give plenty of time for questions. I will also try and speak slowly. I have been to Myanmar, and I know that when I was there, the best way of speaking with people was to talk a little slower rather than the rushed way that we can do. Thank you.
And Jitendra, do you want to just explain who you are?
Yeah, so thanks, Eileen. Hello, everyone. My name is Tejendra Ferali. I'm Professor of Education, Conflict and Peace. I'm based in University College London, and I work very closely with Eileen and, of course, with Kim. Particularly, my work focuses on education in conflict and crisis settings. I'm co-research director for education research in conflict and protective crisis, which also includes Myanmar as a country of research focus. And we're doing a number of research projects, and basically we are very committed in supporting teachers who are working in extremely challenging environments in the context of Myanmar.
Right, thank you all the professor, Eileen, Kim, and Tejendra. So I'll switch to my Burmese mode. So I'll present the about Professor Burma scholarship in Burmese. Okay, I hope you can all see the PowerPoint. PowerPoint အားလုံးမြင်ရမယ်လို့ထင်တယ်နော် so Professor Burma အကြောင်းလေးပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော် UCL ဒီ University of London College University of London ပေါ့နော် UCL ကတော့ college ကတော့ဒီ University of London အောက်က college တစ်ခုဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဟို mission မှာပြောပါတယ်တစ်ချက်လေးအရင်ပြောချင်ပါတယ်လို့okay Professor Burma online scholarship ကကျွန်တော်တို့သိတဲ့အတိုင်းပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော် PB ကဒီ UK မှာ register လုပ်ထားတာဟိုဒီ private အဖွဲ့ပေါ့နော် charity နဲ့ကျွန်တော် register လုပ်ထားတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့က team လေးရှိရပေါ့နော်ဒီ UK နဲ့ဒီအာရှမှာရှိရပေါ့နော်Professor Burma စတော့အနှစ်30လောက်ကျော်ပြီပေါ့နော်ဆိုတော့အားလုံးလည်းတည်ပြီးသားပါအဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော် detail ကတော့မသွားဘူးပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်အဓိက3ပိုင်းရှိတယ်လောက်တဲ့အပိုင်းကဒီ access to learning ဆိုတဲ့ဟာရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဓိကကျတော့ဒီအင်္ဂလိပ်သင်တန်းတို့ဘာလို့ပေါ့နော် critical thinking skill နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ training တို့ဘာလို့ prepare လုပ်ပေးတယ်ပြီးတော့နောက်တစ်ခုကျ learning to leadership ပေါ့နော် leadership လို့ပြောတဲ့အခါမှာကျွန်တော်ဒီ in person scholarship တွေ online scholarship တွေရှိရပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီချီကို support လုပ်တာအကြောင်းသား1600လောက်ရှိပြီးပါပြီဒီနေ့ session က online scholarship ဖြစ်တယ်နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့က online လို့ပြောတဲ့အခါကျတော့ဒီ campus မှာသွားတက်စရာမလိုဘူးပေါ့နော်ဟိုအကယ်၍ဒီ campus မှာကျောင်းမှာ in person campus မှာတက်ရှင်တဲ့ကျောင်းသားတွေဆိုရင် in person scholarship ကိုရှာဖို့လိုရယ်နော်အဲ့ဒါကကြတော့ဒီ January ကျွန်တော် November မှာဖွင့်ပြီးတော့မှJanuary လောက်ဆိုကျွန်တော်ပိတ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်အခုကကြတော့ online learning program တွေဖြစ်တယ် online learning လို့ပြောတဲ့အခါမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီရောက်ရနေရနေပြီးတော့မှcampus ကိုသွားရမလို့ပဲနဲ့ဒီ distance learning ပေါ့နော် online ကနေသင်တာကိုsupport လုပ်ပေးတဲ့ဒီ scholarship program ဖြစ်ပေါ့နော်နောက်တစ်ခုကျတော့ဒီ change in community ပေါ့နော်နောက် project တစ်ခုကကျွန်တော်ဒီ community development နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့အားမျိုးကျွန်တော်လုပ်တာမျိုးရှိပါတယ် so ကျွန်တော် online scholarship ကစတော့မကြသေးဘူးပေါ့နော်2020ကစခဲ့တယ်အဓိကကြတော့ဒီမြန်မာပြည်မှာရှိတဲ့ကျောင်းသားတွေပေါ့နော်အကြောင်းမျိုးကြောင့်ကျောင်းမတက်နိုင်တဲ့နဲ့အကြောင်းမျိုးကြောင့်နိုင်ငံကလည်းထွက်လို့မရဘူးအကြောင်းမျိုးကြောင့်ဟိုစားပါတော့မြန်မာပြည်မှာရှိတဲ့အကြောင်းတွေကိုလည်းတက်တူတွေလည်းအဆုံးခန်းတိုင်မတက်နိုင်ပဲနဲ့ဒီ international university ရွှေ့ရှင်တဲ့အကြောင်းသားတွေပေါ့နော်စတက်ရှင်တဲ့အကြောင်းသားတွေအတွက်ကိုကျွန်တော်စပြီး support လုပ်ပေးခဲ့တာပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့သူတို့ကဒီကကြတော့တခုက requirement တခုလိုအပ်ချက်တခုကကြတော့ကျွန်တော်ဒီ program ကfully online ဖြစ်ရမယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တခုရှိရပါမယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီပုံမှန်ကတော့ online scholarship ဖွင့်တာကကျွန်တော် April 1ရက်နေ့ပြီးတော့မှ31ရက်နေ့မေဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်ပိတ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်ဒီ UCL ကျောင်းသားအတွက်ကကျွန်တော်တို့ extension လေးထည့်ထားပေးရပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါကြတော့ဒီအဲ့ဒါကြခဏကြာရင်ကျွန်တော်ဆက်ပြီးတော့ပြောပြပေးမယ်နော် extension လေးရှိပါအောင်နော် UCL program ဒီ program အတွက်ကကြတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ online scholarship နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဟာကို announcement တွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ PB Facebook page နဲ့ကျွန်တော်ဒီ website တွေမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ announce လုပ်ပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဟိုဒီမှာရှိနေကျောင်းသားတွေလည်းတက်လာ participants တွေလည်းပေါ့နော်ဟိုကျွန်တော်တို့အမြဲဒီ news သတင်းလေးပေါ့နော် announcement တွေ follow up လုပ်နေမယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်မျှော်လင့်နေတယ်အဲအကြောင်းဒီနေ့ကိုရောက်လာတယ်ကျွန်တော်ယုံကြည်ပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါပြီးနောက်တစ်ခုကျတော့ online PB scholarship ပေါ့နော် online scholarship ကိုရှောက်မယ်ဆိုရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့တွေက online application ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော် PDF တို့ဘာလို့မရဘူးကျွန်တော် system နဲ့တွားပြီးတော့မှ link တွေရှိမှာအဲ link ကနေပြီးတော့မှကျွန်တော်တို့ application တင်ရပါတယ်အင်္ဂလိပ်လိုတင်ရတယ်supporting document ပေးရပါတော့ supporting document မှာပါလာဘူးဆိုရင်တော့ဒီចောင်းသားတွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကဆက်ပြီးတော့မှ application ကိုဆက်မစစ်ပါဘူးเนาะအဲ့တော့supporting document တွေကိုတေချာပို့ပေးဖို့လိုပါတယ်လို့ okay ဘယ်သူတွေကရှောက်လို့ရတယ်ပေါ့เนาะကျွန်တော်မိကွန်းချို့လည်းရှိထားပြီးသားရှိမယ်ចောင်းသားရှောက်မဲ့ចောင်းသားတွေကဆိုရင်မြန်မာပြည်ကနေပေါ့ originally မြန်မာပြည်ကနေလာပါမယ်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံသားမဟုတ်တော့မှမြန်မာပြည်မှာစာတိရှိတဲ့သူဖြစ်ရပါမယ်မြန်မာပြည်လို့ပြောတဲ့အခါမှာကျွန်တော်တို့မှတ်ပုံတင်ပါရှိရမယ်လို့ပြောတာမဟုတ်ပါဘူးเนาะဆိုမြန်မာပြည်ရဖြစ်ရပါမယ်နောက်တစ်ခုကကြတော့ငွေကြေးအခက်ခဲပေါ့နော်ငွေကြေးမတက်နိုင်ဘူးဒီတက်ဖို့ကိုလည်းအရင်အာယုံဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲစိတ်ဝင်စားတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ငွေကြေးမတက်နိုင်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်အတွက်ကိုကျွန်တော်ကြောင်းသားရည်ရွယ်ပါတယ်အဓိကတော့ minimum ကတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့က intermediate level of English ရှိရမှာပေါ့နော်အနည်းဆုံးတော့အဲ့ဒါရှိရပါမယ်ဒါကကြတော့ university တစ်ခုချင်းစီနဲ့ဆိုင်တယ်ပေါ့နော်တချို့ university ကကြတော့advanced တောင်းတာရှိမယ်upper intermediate တောင်းတာရှိမယ်တချို့ကြတော့ advanced တောင်းတာရှိမယ်ဒါကိုရဲ့ program နဲ့လည်းဆိုင်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ PB ရဲ့ requirement ကတော့intermediate level of English ရှိရပါမယ်နော်ပြီးတော့နောက်တစ်ခုပါလဲဆိုမြန်မာပြည်ရဲ့ဖွံ့ဖြိုးရေးနဲ့ဒီပြောင်းလဲမှုကိုနော်ပြုသဘောဆောင်တဲ့ပြောင်းလဲမှုကိုပြုသဘောဆောင်တဲ့ပြောင်းလဲမှုကိုဥစားပါတော့လုပ်နေသူဖြစ်ရပါမယ်ဆိုတဲ့သဘောကကျွန်တော်တို့က NGO တို့ INGO တို့အဲ့လိုမျိုးလုပ်နေမှာမဟုတ်ပါဘူးပရဟိတလုပ်နေမှာမဟုတ်မြန်မာပြည်ရဲ့ဖွံ့ဖြိုးမှုတစ်ပိုင်းကိုရဲ့ဒီ private sector ဖြစ်စေတနည်းနည်းတစ်ပုံပုံနဲ့ပေါ့နော်ကူညီဒီမြန်မာပြည်ဖွံ့ဖြိုးတစ်ခုလုပ်ပေးနေသူဖြစ်ရပါမယ်နော်နောက်တစ်ခုကကျွန်တော် requirement တစ်ခုကကြတော့ဘယ်ဘာသာလျှောက်လို့ရလဲပေါ့နော်ဘယ် level လျှောက်လို့ရလဲကျွန်တော်ဒီနှစ်က support လုပ်ပေးရတာ diploma level ရှိမယ်ပြီးတော့ certificate တွေရှိမယ်bachelor degree ရှိမယ် master degree ရှိမယ်ပေါ့နော်PhD ကတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီနှစ်ကတော့ support လုပ်ထားပြီးခြင်းမရှိပါဘူးအဲ့ဒီတစ်ချက်လေးသိပေးချင်ပါတယ်ပြီးတော့ကျောင်းသားကကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ program တစ်ခုလုံးပေါ့နော်ကိုလျှောက်တဲ့ဟာကိုအပြီးဆုံးထိတက်နိုင်တဲ့သူဖြစ်ရပါမယ် graduate certificate ဆိုရင်လည်းတစ်နှစ်လောက်ကြာရင်ကြာမယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့အတွက်ကိုလည်းပြီးအောင်တက်ရပါမယ် master ဆိုရင်2နှစ်3နှစ်ပေါ့နော်bachelor ဆိုရင်4နှစ်အဲ့ဒါကိုအပြီးတိုင်းတက်ပေးရမယ်သူဖြစ်ရပါမယ်အကယ်၍မပြီးခဲ့ဘူးဆိုရင်တော့အဲ့အတွက်ကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီဟိုနည်းနည်းပြဿနာရှိရပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်စာချုပ်ပါထူတာမျိုးရှိပါတယ်လို့အဲ့လေးချက်လေးသတိပေးချင်ပါတယ်နောက်တစ်ခုကျတော့ program က fully online ပြရမယ်ပေါ့နော်တချို့ကျ hybrid တွေရှောက်လို့ရလားပေါ့နော်3လက in person 3လကကြတော့ online ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးဟာမျိုးတွေမေးရမျိုးရှိခဲ့ပါကျွန်တော်အဲ့အတွက်ကမရပါဘူးကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီ program က fully online ပြမယ်အစနဲ့အဆုံးထိက fully online ပြပါမယ်နော်ဘယ်တက်သူရှောက်လို့ရပါဘောနော်ဘယ်တက်သူဆိုရှောက်လို့ရပါတယ်တခုကကြတော့မြန်မာပြည်ကတက်သူတွေရှောက်လို့မရဘူးကျွန်တော်တို့တချို့ exception လေးရှိရပါတော့အဲ့ဒါကျွန်တော် website ပေါ်မှာရှိတယ်ဒီ website ပေါ်မှာရှိတယ်အဲ့မှာသွားပြီးချက်တွေသွားလေ့လာကြပါအဲ့မှာကျွန်တော်တို့ကဘယ် program တွေကိုကျွန်တော် scholarship ပြည့်ပေးနိုင်ဘယ် program ကြောင့်ကျွန်တော် scholarship တော့ဝယ်ပေးနိုင်လဲဆိုတာကိုကျွန်တော်အတိအကျရေးထားပါတယ်အဲ့မှာကျွန်တော် website တွေကိုသွားပြီးတော့မှ university list ရှိရပါတော့အဲ့ဒါလေးတစ်ချက်လေးသွားပြီးတော့မှလေ့လာခိုင်းသိချင်လေ့လာစေချင်ပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်ဒီအခုနပြောရဲပေါ့နော်ပုံမှန်ကကျွန်တော်တို့က30ရက်နေ့လကုန်ပေါ့နော်လကုန် April လကုန်မှာဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော် close လုပ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်sorry မေလကုန်မှာကျွန်တော်ပိတ်လိုက်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီနေ့ကကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီ University of London ပေါ့နော်ဒီတက်တူနဲ့ကျွန်တော်ဒီ agreement အရာကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ program ကိုရှောက်တဲ့သူကိုကျွန်တော်တို့က10ရက်နေ့ဇွန်လ25ရက်နေ့ကို application form တွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့လက်ခံပေးပါမယ်လို့နော်အဲ့တော့ဆိုလို့တော့ဒီနေ့ကစပြီးရေးမယ်ဆိုရင်တစ်လတိတိအချိန်ရပါတယ်လို့တခုအသိထားမှာ principal မှာ partial scholarship ပေါ့နော်ဒါပေမဲ့တချို့ program တွေကကြတော့အပြည့်ပေးရမျိုးရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်ထုံးစံတိုင်းမတည့်တဲ့အတိုင်းပါပဲကျွန်တော်တို့ကနှစ်တိုင်းကိုပြန်ပြီးရှောက်ရတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီ program ကကြတော့ဒီ user program ကကြတော့ကျွန်တော်တစ်နှစ်ပဲပေါ့နော်တစ်နှစ်ပဲဖြစ်တဲ့အခါကြတော့ပြန်ပြီးရှောက်ကြမလို့ပေါ့နော်တစ်နှစ်အတွင်းမှာပြီးသွားလိမ့်မယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ကျွန်တော်အနေနဲ့ကပါ support ပေးလဲဆိုတော့ကျောင်းလာကပေါ့နော်ကျောင်းလာကကျွန်တော်ဒီ program အတွက်ကကျွန်တော်တို့အပြည့်ပေးပါတယ်နော် ပြီးတော့ internet stipend ရှိမယ်အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်ကျွန်တော်တစ်လဘယ်လောက်ကြာမလဲပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါကျွန်တော်ပြန်တွက်ပြီးပြန်ပေးတယ်ပြီးတော့ study materials and stationery ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါ support တွေရှိပါတယ်ပြီးတော့ laptop and electronic device ပေါ့နော်laptop တွေလိုတဲ့သူဆိုရင်လည်းကျွန်တော်တို့က laptop support လုပ်ပေးတယ်ဒါကကြတော့ကျောင်းသားတစ်ယောက်လိုအပ်ချက်ကမတူဘူးပေါ့နော်တချို့ကြတော့လည်းpower bank လို့ပါတောင်းတာမျိုးရှိရပေါ့နော် power bank လို့ပါတော့ကြာမြန်မာပြည်အတွင်းမှာရှိတဲ့သူတွေပဲရှောက်လို့ရတာပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့အဲ့ဒါရှိမယ်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ mental health services တွေရှိမယ်ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ Burma နေပြီးတော့ counseling service တွေအဖွဲ့တစ်ဖွဲ့နဲ့ပေါင်းပြီးလုပ်နေတာမျိုးရှိရဲအဲ့တော့ကျောင်းသားနေပြီးတော့အခက်အခဲရှိရပေါ့နော်ခုရဒီစိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာရmental health နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့အကူအညီလိုရဆိုရင်လည်း counseling service တွေရှိတယ်ဒါနဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ training တွေရှိရပေါ့အဲ့ဒါကိုလည်းကျွန်တော် support လုပ်ပေးပါတယ်နောက်တစ်ခုကကြတော့ဒီ one to one mentorship support ပေါ့နော်ဆိုတဲ့သဘောကကျွန်တော်ကျောင်းသားတွေကဒီ PB scholar အနေနဲ့အရွေးခံရပြီဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကိုသူတို့ support လုပ်ပေးမှာပေါ့နော်guide လုပ်ပေးမယ်ကျောင်းသားကျွန်တော် mentors ရှိ mentors ကတော့ဒီ professionals တွေပေါ့နော်ဆိုတဲ့သဘောကသူတို့တွေအကုန်လုံးကဒီ international university ကိုတက်ပြီးသွားပြီးတော့မှနယ်ပယ်တစ်ခုမှာလုပ်နေတဲ့သူတွေ experience အများရှိတဲ့သူတွေပေါ့နော်သူတို့ကနေပြီးတော့မှဒီ PB online scholar အနေနဲ့ရွေးချယ်ခံရတယ်ဆိုရင်support ပေးရပါတော့ဥပမာဆိုရင် academic support ရှိမယ်ပြီးတော့အခြားဒီ career နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ development တွေပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ support လုပ်ပေးပါတယ်တခုကကြတော့ဒီကိုနဲ့နေပဲတက်ခဲ့တဲ့ဘာသာတူရှင်မှတူမယ်ပေါ့နော်ကိုကကြတော့ဥပမာဆိုရင်ဒီ education တက်တယ်ပေါ့နော်ဆိုရင်ကိုရဲ့ mentors ကအခြားနေပဲရတယ်ဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်ပေါ့ဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့အရန် suitable ဖြစ်တဲ့သူကိုပဲ experience ရဲ့သူပဲကျွန်တော်ရွေးပြီးတော့မှတွေ့ပြီးမှသူတို့ကနေပြီးတော့မှကိုအကြောင်းပြီးတဲ့အထိကိုသူတို့ကguidance တွေ support တွေလုပ်ပါပေးပါလိမ့်မယ်ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်ဒီကနေပြီးတော့မပါတာပါရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော် PBN မှာပေးရပါရှိတယ်ဆိုရင်ကိုကနိုင်ငံခြားရောက်နေတယ်ဒါမှမဟုတ်ရင်မြန်မာပြည်ရောက်နေတယ်မြန်မာပြည်ထဲမှာပေါ့နော်အဲ့နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့မှဒီ food allowance တွေပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့စားနေရိက္ခာတို့ဒီ accommodation တို့ travel တို့ဒီဟာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ကျွန်တော်ပေးရမျိုးမရှိဘူးပြီးတော့ language exam တွေပေါ့နော်ဥပမာ IELTS ဖြေရမယ်တို့ PTE ဖြေရမယ်တို့ Duolingo ဖြေရမယ်အဲ့ဒါဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကမပေးပါဘူးပြီးတော့ university application fees ကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကထောက်ပံ့ပေးခြင်းမရှိပါဘူးเนาะ Okay ဂျာ PB condition လေးပေါ့နော်တစ်ချက်လေးပြောချင်တာကကြတော့ scholarship ကတော့တစ်နှစ်ပေါ့နော်အကယ်၍ကျောင်းသားတွေဆက်ပြီးတော့နောက်တစ်နှစ်ကိုဆက်ပြီးတော့မှ apply လုပ်ချင်နေဆိုရင်continuing ဆက်လုပ်ချင်နေဆိုရင်တော့ minimum requirement ကတော့GPA 3 out of 4တော့ရှိရမယ်ပေါ့နော်ပြီးတော့ PB ရဲ့ဒီပို့လိုက်တဲ့ survey reporting တွေမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ဝင်ပါပေးရပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါတော့ requirement ပါ condition လေးပေါ့နော်ပြီးတော့နောက်တစ်ခုကကြတော့ PB ကတခုသတိထားမှာကကိုအခုနကျွန်တော်ပြောခဲ့တဲ့အတိုင်းပဲသတိထားမှာပေါ့နော်ကျောင်းသားကဒီတစ်နှစ်ကိုတက်မယ်လို့ပြောအဆုံးထိတက်ပြရအောင်မယ်အကယ်၍မတက်ခဲ့ဘူးဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကပတ်စံတွေကိုပြန်တောင်းလို့ရတာပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီတစ်ချက်လေးကိုသတိထားပေးပါexception လေးတွေတော့ရှိပါတယ်เนาะအဲ့ဒီချက်လေးပြီးတော့နောက်တစ်ခုကကြတော့PB ကငွေအလွဲသုံးစားလောက်တာတို့ဘာလို့ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးတွေကျောင်းပြီးအောင်မတက်ဘဲနဲ့ဟာမျိုးတွေဆိုနောက်ပိုင်းတွေမှာscholarship ကိုပြန်ပြီး apply လုပ်လို့မရတာတို့ list လုပ်ထားခံရမျိုးလည်းဖြစ်နိုင်ပါတယ်ပြီးတော့တက်တူချိန်လို့မရဘူးပေါ့နော်ဥပမာဆိုရင်ဒီနှစ်ဆိုရင်ဒီ program ဆိုကျွန်တော်တစ်နှစ်ပေါ့နော်တစ်နှစ်ဖြစ်မယ်အဲ့တစ်နှစ်တက်ကြုံမယ်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော် extension တောင်းဖို့လိုပါတယ်เนาะအဲ့ချက်လေးတည်ထားပြီးသိချင်ပါတယ် Okay ပြီးတော့နောက်တစ်ခုကကြတော့အကယ် PB အခုနကျွန်တော်ပြောတဲ့purchase scholarship ဖြစ်တဲ့အခါကျတော့ကျောင်းသားတွေအခြား scholarship တွေကို apply လုပ်လို့ရတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ရှောက်မယ်ဆိုရင် PB ကိုတော့အကြောင်းကြားပေးဖို့တော့လိုမယ်เนาะ Okayကျွန်တော် selection process ကဘယ်လိုလဲပေါ့နော်ဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့အခုနပြောတဲ့အတိုင်းပဲစရှောက်မယ်ဆိုရင်ဒီ January 1 April 1ရက်ကနေစပြီးတော့31 May ကိုကျွန်တော်စလိုက်တယ်ပြီးရင်31မှာဆိုပိတ်လိုက်တယ်ပေါ့နော် online နေပဲအကြောင်း apply လုပ်ရတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ UCL program ကြတော့10th of June ဖြစ်မယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါလေးတစ်ချက်လေးသိထားပေးပါပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ interview တွေရှိမယ်ဒီ August မှာဆိုရင် July August ဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော် interview တွေရှိမယ်ပေါ့နော်result ကကြတော့ early September မဟုတ်ရင် late September လောက်ဖြစ်မယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါရှိမယ်အဲ့ဒါပြီးသွားပြီဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီအမှ shortlist ဖြစ်တဲ့ကျောင်းသားတွေပဲကျွန်တော်တို့က contact လုပ်မယ်ပေါ့နော်ဥစားအကုန်တော့ reject letter တော့မပို့ဘူးပေါ့နော်shortlist ဟာတွေလောက်ပဲပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ PB Facebook page ကလည်း announcement လုပ်မယ်ဥပမာဆိုရင်ဒီကျောင်းshortlist ကထွက်သွားပြီးတော့ဘာလို့ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လေးကျွန်တော် finalize လုပ်သွားပြီဆိုကျွန်တော်တို့ PB ကနေပြီးတော့ general announcement Facebook page ကနေပြီးတော့ general announcement လေးလုပ်မယ်အဲ့လေးတစ်ချက်လေးပြီးထားပြီးကြည့်ကြပေးပါ successful ဖြစ်တဲ့ကျောင်းသားတွေဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့က grant letter ပေါ့နော်ဟိုလက်မှတ်ထိုးပေးမယ်ပို့ပေးမယ်အဲကြလက်မှတ်ထိုးပြီးပြန်ပို့ပေးပါပြီးတော့ PB ကနေလုပ်တဲ့ information session တွေပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါလေးကိုလည်း mandatory တက်ဖို့လိုပါတယ်ပြီးတော့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ study plan လေးကိုလည်းကျွန်တော်ပို့ပေးမယ်အကြရင်ဒီနှစ်ကိုပါတက်မယ်ပဲပါလိုက်တက်မယ်ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ပြန်ပို့ပေးရမယ်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ reporting တွေလုပ်ပေးရမယ်ပြီးတော့ဒီဥစ္စာပေါ့နော်ကျောင်းတက်နေတဲ့ဟာဖြစ်စေဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ certificate transcript တွေကျွန်တော်တို့ request လုပ်တာမျိုးတွေရှိမယ်အကြရင်လည်းပို့ပေးဖို့တွေ့ပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဘာဘယ်လိုရှောက်မလဲပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့ခုနပြောတယ် PB Facebook website ရှိရမှာနော်အမှကျွန်တော် link ရှိတယ်ပြီးတော့ဒီ PB Facebook page မှာလည်းကျွန်တော် link လေးပို့တာရှိတယ်အမှသွားပြီးတော့မှ application form ကိုသွားရှာလို့ရတယ်နော်အမှဘာလို့လဲဆိုရင်application essay ရှိပါနှစ်ပုဒ်ရေးရပါတယ်ကိုအကြောင်းနဲ့ပြီးတော့ဒီအနာဂတ်မှာပေါ့နော်ဘာသာလုပ်မလဲပေါ့နော် future plan လေးကိုရေးရမျိုးရှိတယ်essay နှစ်ပုဒ်ရှိအဲ့ဒါကိုသိကြရေးပေးဖို့လိုပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ AI တို့ဘာလို့မတုံးရဘူးเนาะ ChatGPT တို့ဘာလို့တုံးတာမျိုးဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ disqualify လုပ်ပါမယ်လို့အဲ့ဒီချက်လေးဒီထားခိုင်းသိချင်ပါတယ်ကိုဟာကိုတေးကြပါတော့ grammar တွေဘာမှလာပြဿနာမရှိဘူးတေးကြရေးချိန်ပေးပြီးတော့တေးကြရေးပါ prepare လုပ်ပါဘာလို့ဆိုတော့ selection process က competitive ဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကအဓိကကြတော့ဒီ essay ရဲ့အနောက်ကကျောင်းသားကျွန်တော်မြင်ချင်တယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါလေးချက်ကိုသိထားပြီးသိချင်ပါတယ်ပြီးတော့ဒီ user program က teaching ဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်ပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော် teaching experience တွေလိုလိမ့်မယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါကိုလည်းကိုယ့်ရဲ့စာဒီ education ပညာရေးနယ်ပယ်မှာဘယ်လောက်လုပ်ခဲ့လဲပေါ့နော်ပြီးတဲ့အခါကျတော့စာသင်တဲ့တက်တန်းတွေဘယ်လောက်ရှိတယ်အတွေ့အကြုံဘယ်လောက်ရှိရဲဆိုတာကိုလည်းသိကြရေးပေးဖို့လိုအပ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာနော်နောက်တစ်ခုကျွန်တော်ဘာလုပ်ရမလဲဆိုရင်ဒီ certificate တွေပေါ့နော် transcript တွေကျွန်တော်ပို့ပေးရမယ်နောက်တစ်ခုကျတော့ academic to reference letter နဲ့ဆောင်ပို့ပေးရမယ်ပေါ့နော်ပထမတစ်စောင်ကကြတော့ဒီ academic reference ပြရမယ်နောက်တစ်ခုကကြတော့professional reference ပေါ့နော်အကယ်၍ကိုကနေပြီးတော့မှအမှားတော့တစ်ခုကတော့အနည်းဆုံးတော့ကိုရဲ့ academic reference ဖြစ်ဖို့လိုအပ်ပါတယ်နော်ဒီဆိုတဲ့ဘောကိုရဲ့ပညာရေးအကြောင်းကိုသိရသူဆိုတဲ့ဘောကကိုကကျောင်းဆရာမဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲကိုကိုသင်ခဲ့တဲ့ကျောင်းဆရာတို့တက္ကသိုလ်ဆရာတို့မှမဟုတ်ဘူးကိုအင်္ဂလိပ်စာသင်ပေးရသူကိုresearch နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့အပိုင်းမှာ support လုပ်ပေးတယ် guidance လုပ်ပေးတယ်ပြီးတော့ကိုရဲ့ပညာရေးအကြောင်းကိုသိကြသိရသူတယောက်ကရေးပေးဖို့လိုအပ်ပါတယ်နော်နောက်တစ်ခုကကြတော့ professional reference ပေါ့နော်အလုပ်ရှိရဆိုရင်အလုပ်တွေ့ကြုံတက်တန်းရှိရမယ်ဥပမာဆိုဒါ teaching experience ပါလိုတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့် teaching experience ကို recommend လုပ်ပေးနိုင်တဲ့သူတယောက်ကိုလိုလိမ့်မယ်နော်ဒီဥစား professional reference ကြတော့အင်္ဂလိပ်စာအမှတ်ရှိရင်တော့အင်္ဂလိပ်စာအမှတ်ကိုတင်ပေးပါမရှိဘူးဆိုရင်ပြဿနာမရှိဘူးနော်ဒီအင်္ဂလိပ်စာ requirement ကဘယ်လောက်ရှိရဆိုတာတော့ဒီဆီယမ်မတွေကပေါ့နော်ဒီ professor ကအသေးစိတ်ဆက်ပြီးတော့ပြောရပါလိမ့်မယ်ဘယ်လောက်တောင်းလဲတော့မသိဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲဒီရုပ်ကြီးစမတ်ဘယ်လောက်တောင်းတာမျိုးကျွန်တော်လည်းမသိဘူးအဲဒါကြတော့ university website လေးတစ်ချက်လေးသွားလေ့လာကြပါတော့ပြီးတော့ကိုကအခြား scholarship ရရဆိုရင်လည်းအဲ့လေး copy လေးပို့ပေးပါပြီးတော့ကိုကဒီမှတ်ပုံတင်တို့ passport တို့အဲ့နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ဟာမျိုးကျွန်တော်တို့တစ်ချက်လေးပို့ပေးဖို့လိုပါတယ်အကယ်၍ကိုကတခုမှမပေးနိုင်ဘူးဆိုရင်မပေးနိုင်တဲ့အကြောင်းကိုစာရေးပေးပါအဲ့ဒါကကျွန်တော် letter statement မှာကျွန်တော်ရေးလို့ရတယ်ပေါ့နော်အကယ်၍ကိုက refugee camps မှာရှိနေတယ်ဆိုရင်လည်းကျွန်တော်တို့က UNHCR card တို့တခုခုပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါလေးကျွန်တော်ပို့ပေးလို့ရပါနော်ဒီလုံးဝမရှိဆိုလဲ driver's license ရှိလဲဒီမောင်း license ပို့ပေးလို့ရတယ်ပြီးတော့ဒီပုံမှန်ကကြာကျွန်တော်တို့ဝင်ခွင့်တောင်းတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဝင်ခွင့် letter တောင်းတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီ tech program မှာကျတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒါယူတော့ဒီဝင်ခွင့်ကတော့ပို့ရမလို့ပေါ့နော် admission letter ပို့ပေးကြမလို့ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်စီကအရင်လာပြီးတော့မှကျွန်တော်ကနေပြီးတော့မှ qualify ဖြစ်တဲ့ဒီ application နဲ့အကုန်လုံးကိုဒီ UCL ပေါ့နော်ဒီ University of London ကိုကျွန်တော်ကပို့သွားပြီးတော့အဲကြနေပြီးတော့မှ shortlist လုပ်ပြီးတော့မှပဲ shortlist ဖြစ်တဲ့အကြောင်းသားတွေကိုပြန် contact လုပ်ပေးပါမယ်ခင်ဗျာနော်အဲတော့ဒါပေမဲ့ qualify ဖြစ်မဖြစ်ကအရေးကြီးတာဥပမာဆိုရင်ဒီ math ရင်းတို့ဘာလို့ပေါ့နော်အင်္ဂလိပ်စာတို့ဘာရှိအကုန်ပို့ပြီးပေါ့အဲ့ဒါမှမရှိဘဲနဲ့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကစီစစ်လို့မရဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီတစ်ချက်လေးသိထားခိုင်းရှင်းပါတယ်အကယ်အကြောင်းမျိုးကြောင့်တချို့ဟာတွေမထောက်ပံ့ပေးနိုင်ဘူးတချို့ဟာတွေဥပမာဆိုရင်ဒီ document တွေကနောက်ကျပါမယ်လို့ထင်ထားပြီဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီ letter statement မှာပေါ့နော်အသေးစိတ်ရေးပေးပါနော်လိုအပ်မှပဲရေးပါမလို့အဲ့တော့ဒီဟာကြီးကို document အကုန်ပြည့်စုံနေဆိုတော့ဒါကြီးပို့ကြမလို့ပါဘူးနော်လက်ထောင်ထားတဲ့သူပြီးကြရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ပြန် question answer session မှာဖြေပေးပါမယ်နော် Okay အခုနသိတဲ့အတိုင်းပဲကျွန်တော်တို့က apply လုပ်တဲ့သူအများများရယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီနေ့ကို ဒီတက်တူကလည်းအရင်ကနေကြီးတယ်အဲ့တော့ဒီ selection က competitive ဖြစ်နေပါတော့ပြန်ဆိုင်မှုများမယ်အဲ့တော့အခုကလေးကစပြီးတော့မှဒီနေ့ပြီးသွားပြီဆိုရင်တော့ရှောက်ဖို့လုပ်တယ်ဆိုရင် essay တို့သိကြရေးပါdocuments တွေကိုစပြီးတော့မှ prepare လုပ်ဖို့လိုပါတယ်နော် documents တွေကကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီ UCL ကိုကျွန်တော် forward လုပ်ပေးမှာဆိုတော့ဒီပို့လာတဲ့အမှတ်စဉ်တွေပါတယ်အကုန်လုံးပေါ့နော်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့တက်ခဲ့တဲ့ပညာရေး background ပါဆိုအကုန်လုံးအင်္ဂလိပ်လိုဖြစ်ဖို့လိုပါတယ်အကယ်၍ပမာလိုရေးရဆိုရင် note ပြန်ဖို့လိုတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီတစ်ချက်လေးတတိပေးသိချင်ပါတယ်အကယ်၍ကျွန်တော် supporting documents တွေကိုပေါ့နော်ဥပမာဆိုရင်ဒီ user ကကြတော့ဒီ10ရက်ဂျွန်ပေါ့နော်10ရက်ဂျွန်မှမပို့နိုင်ဘူးဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကနောက်ဆုံးပေါ့နော်30ဂျွန်ထိကိုကျွန်တော် supporting document ပို့ပေးရပါမယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ application form ပေါ့နော် essay ကိုပါလို့အကုန်လုံးတင်နေရတာက form ကို submit လုပ်ရမယ့် deadline က10 of June နော်deadline တစ်ခုကမတူနော်ပထမတစ်ခုကကြတော့ application form ကိုတင်တာက10ရက်နေ့ဂျွန်နောက်ဆုံးတင်ရမယ်supporting document တွေကိုမရသေးလို့စောင့်နေရမယ်ဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ကဘယ်ထိစောင့်ပေးမယ်ဆိုတော့30အထိဂျွန်ကိုစောင့်ပေးလို့ရပါမယ်application form တွေ support ဒီ application form တွေ10ရက်နေ့နောက်ပိုင်းမှာရောက်လာတဲ့ဟာတွေကျွန်တော်တို့ကတော့ကြည့်ပေးမှာမဟုတ်ဘူးเนาะအဲဒီချက်လေးတတိထားသိချင်ပါတယ်အကယ်၍အခုနောက်ပြောတဲ့အတိုင်းပဲအကြောင်းမျိုးကြောင့်တချို့ဟာတွေအလီမီမရောက်နိုင်ဘူးဆိုရင်တစ်ချက်လေးဒီဟိုစားပါတော့ cover letter လိုပုံစံမျိုးနဲ့တော့ statement letter လေးမှာချက်လေးပို့ပြီးသိချင်ပါတယ်เนาะဒီပြီးသိချင်ပါတယ်Okay တခုကသတိထားမှာကကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ guidance note ပေါ့နော် PB website မှာရှိပါတယ်ဘယ်လိုရှောက်ရမလဲဆိုတာမျိုး guidance အသေးစိတ်လေးရေးရရှိအဲ့ပေဂျာလေးဖတ်ပေးပါ FAQ လေးပေဂျာဖတ်ပေးပါကျွန်တော်တို့တွေ apply လုပ်လိုက်တာနဲ့ကျွန်တော် email တွေပို့တယ်ပေါ့နော်auto response ဖြစ်တဲ့ email တွေရှိတယ်အမှရှိအသေးစိတ်ကိုကျွန်တော်ဖတ်ပေးပါအမှ email တွေမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ supporting document တွေကိုတင်ရမယ့် link လေးပါတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ link ကိုသုံးပြီးတော့မှတင်လို့ရတယ်နော်အဲ့တော့အဲ့မှာကျွန်တော်တို့ပြီးတော့ supporting document တွေကိုတင်တဲ့အခါမှာ name ပေါ့နော်နာမည်စင်းတင်တာဟုတ်ဘယ်လိုပြောမလဲအမည်ပေးတာပေါ့နော်အဲ့အလေးတွေတေချာလုပ်ဖို့လိုပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်တို့အဲ့ထဲမှာအသေးစိတ်ရေးတာဥပမာဆိုရင်ကျောင်းသားတွေတိုင်းက apply လုပ်လိုက်တာနဲ့ AAPP ဆိုတာရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော် APP application code number တွေရှိတယ်အဲ့အရာတွေကိုတေချာမှတ်ပြီးတော့မှဥပမာဆိုရင်ကိုက IELTS အမှတ်တင်မယ်ပေါ့နော်ဆို APP ဥပမာဆိုရင်မောင်မြဆိုမောင်မြပြီးတော့မှ IELTS အမှတ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုလေးရေးပေးဖို့လိုအပ်ပါတယ်ကျွန်တော်အဲ့ naming ကိုမပို့ဘဲနဲ့ဟာတွေတင်လာတယ်ဆိုရင်ဥပမာဆိုရင်ဘယ်သူနာမည်မှလည်းဟို application number လည်းမပါဘူးနာမည်လည်းမပါဘူးဘယ်နဲ့ရောက်လာတဲ့ဟာတွေကိုကျွန်တော်အကုန်လုံးက delete လုပ်ပါတယ်เนาะဒါဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ application ဟိုယာနဲ့ချီထောင်နဲ့ချီကိုကျွန်တော်ရတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ supporting document ကအတိုင်းကိုအတိအကျမပေးရဘူးပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော်တို့instruction လာလိမ့်မယ်ပေါ့နော် email ထဲမှာအဲ့အတူကြဖတ်ပါအတိုင်း name မလုပ်ဘူးဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့အကုန် delete လုပ်မှာပါနော်အဲ့ဒီတစ်ချက်လေး remind လုပ်ချင်ပါတယ်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်ဒီ PB website ပေါ့နော် Facebook page ကိုတေချာလေ့လာကြပါတေချာ follow up လုပ်ပေးပေါ့နော်ကျွန်တော် announcement လေးတေချာလုပ်ပေးတယ်အဲ့ဒီတစ်ချက်လေးတေချာ follow up လုပ်ပေးဟိုစားပါတော့တေချာလေးကြည့်ခိုင်းပေးချင်ပါတယ်essay ကိုတေချာရေးပါအခုနပြောတဲ့အတိုင်းပဲဘာကြောင့်လေ့လာခြင်းလဲရှိနာကစီစဉ်ကပါရှိလဲပြီးတော့မြန်မာပြည်ကိုဘယ်လိုနောက်ဆက်တွဲအကျိုးပြုမလဲပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါလေးကိုလည်းတစ်ချက်လေးတေချာလေ့လာတေချာလေးရေးစေချင်ပါတယ်ဒီ UCL program မှာကျတော့ teaching experience ကအရေးကြီးပါတယ်အဲ့တော့ teaching experience ဘယ်လောက်ရှိလဲပြီးတော့ education နဲ့ဘယ်မှာဘယ်လောက်ပါရလဲဆိုတာကိုသိကြဖော်ပြပေးဖို့လိုပါတယ်နော်late application ကိုကျွန်တော်လက်မခံပါဘူး10ရက်နေ့ဂျွန်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့လေးတစ်ချက်လေးဒီတဲ့ခါကျရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီကျွန်မပါလာတော့ဘာလို့ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါတွေကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကတရားချင်းပြီးအသေးသေးမပြန်ပါဘူးเนาะအရေးကြီးတဲ့ email လောက်ပဲကျွန်တော်တို့ကပြန်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာเนาะအဲ့လေးတစ်ချက်လေးသိထားတိုင်းသိချင်ပါတယ်Okay ကျွန်တော် website လေးသွားလေ့လာလို့ရနော်PB ဟိုစားပါနော် prosperma.org student ရှိမယ်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဆက်သွယ်လာမယ်ဆိုရင် online scholarship နော်at prosperma.org ရှိမယ်in person scholarship ကျတော့ scholarship@prosperma.org ပေါ့နော်ဒီ online ဒီ UCL program ကိုကျွန်တော်စိတ်ဝင်စားတယ်မိကုံတိကျရှိရပေါ့နော်ကိုကလည်းတိကျခံနိုင်မိကုံရှိရဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ online scholarship email လေးကိုကျွန်တော်မေးလို့ရပါနော်Okay ပါဒါပါပဲခင်ဗျာနော်ဒီပါကျွန်တော်က Okay ကျွန်တော်ဒီလောက်ပြီးသွားပြီဆိုရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ professor ကိုကျွန်တော် hand over လုပ်လိုက်မယ်နော် Q&A session ကတော့လက်တင်တဲ့သူတွေအကုန်လုံးကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီအဆုံးမှာကျွန်တော်တို့ပြန်ပြီးတော့မှပြီးနေနေအောင်နော် Yeah, thank you. I thank you. That's all from me. So over to our professor from UCL. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I'm going to give a short presentation about the PGCE. There's been lots of questions in the Q&A, and we've answered some of them, both live and typed answers, but there will be a chance to ask more questions at the end as well. So if I just start by... I apologise, I've got lots of things open on here. There we are. So the PGCE teacher development is a program that has been developed and designed by colleagues here at UCL Institute of Education. And in fact, I was the original designer of it. And it's also validated not by UCL, but by the University of London. And I'll explain a little bit about that as we go through. It's a complex combination. Let me first tell you a bit about myself. I started as a primary teacher 50 years ago. I'm feeling quite old when I realised that that's how long I've been teaching. But I work in higher education and have done a lot of work in teacher education for many years now. And I'm coming up soon to my 30th year at the Institute of Education. And of course, the Institute of Education is the world's #1 institution for educational research. So I'm delighted to be part of this institution. The PGCE teacher development itself, as I said, it's validated by the University of London. Now, we are, as an UCL, is a member institution of the University of London. So University of London is like a big umbrella group that has lots of different institutions, colleagues like King's College London, Birkbeck, that's the oldest institution in the University of London. But UCL, and before that, when the IOE was not part of UCL, but an university in its own right, have been members of the University of London for a very long time. As federation members, we often do lots of teaching, but the University of London validate the programme because they have different access to different places. And certainly in particular, University of London is the first open online or distance learning institution, even before the Open University. And it's always, for a very long time, done lots of distance learning. So the programme has been designed by us. It started in 2016, so it's had quite a long time. We were doing for the Institute of Education, the IOE, a lot of work in international settings, and many places asked for a PGCE, not a initial teacher education, so not qualified teacher status, but a PGCE that helped support teachers in their institutions. One of the challenges we found that it was a very, very expensive degree to run. We worked in India, for example, for nearly 10 years with the Doon School, And now they're a rich school, so their governing body at the time wanted many of their teachers to have a solid qualification. But we realized that there were many places in the world that did not have access to that sort of money. So we talked to the University of London, and with them we put together this fully online teacher development program. It does not give qualified teacher status. I need to say that many times because people still think it's a PGCE, so I can come and teach in the UK and say I'm qualified to do so. It's very rigorous, and it has learned a great deal from the teacher education programs that run here, but it is different, and therefore it's not designed for teaching in a UK school. It's designed to help the teachers work and develop their practice in their school where they are at the moment. And it's not us telling you how you should do it, because in the first place, we believe that the teachers are the experts in their classroom, not us. We are experts, if you like, in knowledge and understanding about the research, and we help bring the research in an accessible way to teachers so that they can understand ways of using it in their classroom. It is an internationally recognised award, but as I said, it does not license teachers. Many countries have their own licensing systems, or indeed no licensing systems. But we're not saying that if you've got this, you are qualified to teach in any country. What we are saying, though, is if you are successful in the PGCE teacher development, you will have examined and explored your own practice. You will have thought about the scholarship, the international scholarship, in the light of your practice, and together with a critical friend in your school, you will have identified ways of enhancing teaching in your classroom. And that's the most important element of it. As I said, the pilot ran in 2015-16. It ran with teachers they were in Dubai. But they weren't teachers in expensive international schools. They were international schools, but they were Indian teachers working in Dubai in Indian curriculum schools. And it was managed by a partner who wanted to enhance, and in fact was challenged to enhance their teachers, because the inspectorate in Dubai was very concerned about the quality of teaching in those schools. The first cohort that ran in Dubai, Kada, the inspectorate, went in after we had run the course, and of all those teachers, they had all of them increased the quality of their teaching by at least 2 grades, which meant that most of them were now showing outstanding, or at least very good teachers. And that's not us saying that they did that, because we didn't look at their teaching. They looked at the the students look at their teaching, their critical friend works with them, and this inspectorate, outside inspectorate, examined the teachers. So that was good news for us. However, it didn't continue the next year, lots of different things happening. We really developed it again about 5-6 years ago now, and have been running with the University of London and have 2 starting points every year, one in September and one in March. I'd like to say a little bit about the Institute of Education and University of London experiences. First of all is the element of distance learning. In many jurisdictions in the world, distance learning is not valued. As I mentioned earlier, University of London is very experienced in distance learning. They started off with what are called correspondence courses. They developed distance learning and now have a Centre for Online and Distance Education, shortened to CODE. I'm afraid certainly in English, we use a lot of acronyms, which is usually the first letter of each word, hence UOL, University of London. So they're very experienced in distance learning, and the Institute of Education is very experienced in international PGCE work, India, Pakistan. We've worked in gone to places like Sri Lanka, Myanmar, been working in Myanmar, did some work with UNESCO in Myanmar to help develop teacher education there. So we have a range of experiences, and it's actually that international work that tells us that although we know a great deal, we don't know how things work in the multiple, diverse and complex situations. So that's been quite a change in our way of developing teacher education. Working with students from those different cultures and challenges for changing practices are something, in fact, we only yesterday had our 10th exam board, and the external examiner, who has nothing to do with the programme, they examine us, if you like, to see if the programme is keeping its standards high. And the external examiner, who's very experienced, said that it was the design of the programme was unique and it was really global. It met the challenges of global learning through 2 aspects. And one aspect is the portfolio. So all the way through the programme, our teachers keep a portfolio of their activity, a written portfolio, and they even submit that for summative assessment at the end of each module. They said that portfolio really demonstrated a growth and development in the teachers, the students on the programme. But the other aspect that they said was unique was the use of the critical friend. So rather than someone telling teachers how they should, judging teachers, you're not doing that well enough, the critical friend is someone who sits with you and you talk together. It's a peer, not a line manager, not a principal, someone who talks to you and you talk with them about the teaching that you're doing in your classroom. And all of that, and it's very strong evidence, helps to change teaching practices so that the learning for the students in the classroom is really enhanced. It's made better for them, that they begin to explore learning and access learning in a very different way. And that's the aim of the programme. So a little bit about the programme. It's at the moment, it's at level 6, that's honours level. That's deliberate because we found that many teachers didn't necessarily have an equivalent good honours degree. And we still wanted to reach those people. So we started it off at a level 6 honours level. We are developing a level 7 level so that the same programme can be studied at 2 levels. It has 2 modules. The first is thinking about learning, and you can't do them together. You have to do one first and then you start the second one. The thinking about learning is a module that explores what is learning, and it starts from you as a person. That is the teacher. So how do you learn? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? I'm not talking teaching now, I'm talking learning. It then explores the literature, the scholarship on how people learn, and there's a lot of research about learning, a lot of different viewpoints, and many curricula in different cultures use different research and arguments, theories of learning to support how they teach. We look at all of them. We don't say that any one way is correct. That moves then on into the second module, and our experience in international teacher education says that there are 2 areas that teachers are really interested in. The first is assessment for learning, and the second is inclusion. And so the second module, having explored learning, then looks at assessment for learning, and it also looks at including students from different cultures, different religious backgrounds, but also students who may have a special educational need or development need, and how you include them, how you work with them in your classroom. And then module 2 comes to an end by returning to thinking about you as a learner, thinking about you and reflecting on your practice. So it closes the circle, if you like. It's fully online, and we use a VLE called Moodle. And the first month, you don't do any learning in the 2 modules. You do learning about skills, study skills, about how to use the VLE and work through that. And if you've studied a MOOC, massive open online course, you will have some experience of the sort of process of learning. And we very much look to our students to run their own learning online. We support with the materials. The critical friend support is really important in country, and that's because we cannot be the experts in your classroom. We cannot know what's happening. Tajendra mentioned about his work in looking at contexts that are in crisis, that there are real challenges. We have found that there are huge range of challenges that people, whether it become it's from government, whether it's from because they're under crisis, under attack. I've worked with people in the Gaza Strip, for example, who have had lots of challenges as well. So, and from that, we know that having someone you can talk to in your context who understands the local challenges you are working with is very important. And it can be a colleague on the course. So both of you could be participant teachers and also then supporting each other as a critical friend. The assessment has no examination, no sit-down examinations. Some people think that's easier, but actually it does make it more of a challenge in some ways. You have to keep a portfolio all the way through the programme, from the very beginning right through to the very end. And that portfolio has 5 sections, which include pre-course activities, discussion of observations, discussions with your critical friend, notes on observations, lesson plans. It has module activity reflections, so you respond to module, the distance learning materials and keep them there. And also your own personal learning journal, a diary of, as you go, every 2 weeks, we get you to write something about your learning over those 2 weeks. At the end of each module, as well as this portfolio, there is an essay. For module 1, it's a 2,000 word essay, and for module 2, it's a 4,000 word essay. Now, the portfolio is assessed on a pass-fail basis only. That's because in the portfolio, you can write mistakes, because we know from learning that you learn a great deal through making mistakes. You often learn more through errors, through misconceptions and correcting them than you do from getting things right all the time. So the portfolio is not judged on whether you're right or wrong. It's judged on whether there is evidence of you doing it all the way through and not just quickly writing it up at the end. I can tell you, we can tell. The essays, though, are academic essays. This gives you an opportunity to then use elements from the portfolio to, as evidence to critically reflect on your learning that you've been doing. And that's in both essays. You're supported in that. We have formative assessment all the way through the programme. We give draft feedback on a draft essay, written feedback. So you're fully supported. And in the exam board yesterday, the external examiners said that that was another very strong element. And they actually said they weren't quite sure how we managed to do such quality feedback. But that's because we are the Institute of Education, and I know that most of our programs have that high level of quality feedback. So that's my presentation. I'm going to stop sharing now. While I was speaking, I couldn't see any of the messages going up. So hopefully I will be able to see them now.
Yeah, so if we spend the rest of our time responding to the questions that have been asked, and if there's anybody who wants to speak, but there are some questions in the chat that that we could answer. So, for instance, we have a question about whether teachers with a bachelor degree, could they apply for this scholarship? Somu, what do you think?
I mean, we don't have any restriction on that. Anyone can apply, you know. I think it's more on the for the university admission. For us, it's not the student doesn't have to have a bachelor degree in education. They could be from any field, but I think it's more for UCL to answer.
Okay.
And certainly, where we're concerned, if you've got a bachelor's degree, you're probably meeting the baseline of our qualifications.
So yes, that's fine then.
What if they
The
don't have
answer is
a
yes.
bachelor degree in education? Just for example, if they have a bachelor degree in psychology,
Yes, because what the degree demonstrates for us is an ability to think at this level. If you only have a certificate, for example, or a diploma's okay because that's level 5, and this is the next level. But if you only have a certificate, which is level 4, then it's quite a big jump, and particularly the sort of teaching, the sort of thinking we're asking you to do.
I guess the problem often we encounter is not having required qualifications, rather than candidates coming in with qualifications that meet the requirements or have like a higher level of qualifications. And it's absolutely normal to change, academic paths. You might have done your undergrad in one particular subject and you want to become a teacher and you want to gain professional development through this qualification. That is absolutely fine. So qualification that is above what this PGCE is offering is certainly acceptable.
One thing we would expect is that people have been teaching. This isn't a course on how to teach, because you already know how to teach. It's a way of enhancing and developing your teaching. Sometimes people apply and they haven't started teaching yet, and we ask them to start teaching and then apply, so that they have some experience. The
So,
norm we say is 2 years. Sorry, Eileen.
oh no, sorry, I thought you'd finished. Sorry. There's another question that's sort of related that's just come up that since we're on this, that somebody's asking that they're saying the level of the award is at level 6, but could somebody apply if they had only had completed the first year of an online undergraduate program, and then had a few years of teaching experience? So that would be a level 4 qualification in these terms.
So I think in that case, if they applied, that would the university would then direct it to me, and we have something that's called a suspension of regulations. So the regulation says that you should have the equivalent of level 5 for the baseline for joining the programme. If someone can make a very good case, and sometimes people do, then I can look at that, and the university would send that over to me. And certainly working as a teacher may be evidence of prior experiential learning, with a term we use in the university. We do look at every case by case.
Okay, so just to clarify, that level 5 means second year university qualification. So if you can show that you're at that level, either through your experience or through a formal qualification, then do that in your application, and it will be judged case by case.
So Kim, many of the prospective students might be working with teachers, supporting educational provisions in really challenging settings, which may not be the formal schools. So they are themselves not teachers, but they work with teachers and education providers. If they would like to attend this course, would those kinds of educational practitioners be considered as qualifying students?
So I would say yes, and we've certainly worked with some of those teachers from Myanmar now. I have to be careful because the University of London also runs a higher education qualification, which would be for those sorts of people who are educating other adults. But I think there is a big difference between people who are educating other adults on university courses and people who are in the sorts of situations you're talking about, Tejendra, educating teachers, supporting teachers in their learning. And as long as the participant teachers on our programme have some access to actually working in a classroom, thinking about both the young children's, the children's learning and their own learning and how learning happens, we can manage that. So at the moment, we do have, for example, a student who is working in prison education, who has chosen to come on this programme. We have teachers who are owners, they're owners of schools, so they're supporting lots of teachers in their schools. And for example, one owner, this is in Malaysia, she now would like everyone in her school to do the programme because it's so good. But obviously that's a challenge for her. But she did it, and she had to get into the classroom and do some teaching as well to understand the depth that we're talking about, because it is a deep programme. Does that answer that question, Tejendra?
Yes, I think that's very helpful. I think another related question to that, given the really difficult situation in Myanmar, is a number of higher education institutions have been established after the political crisis in 2021. And these new and emerging higher education institutions have not necessarily been recognized in whatever those formal structures you might want to consider. But they are actually providing qualifications to Myanmar students. So if they come to you with the certificates acquired from these new emerging institutions and have the teaching qualifications, work with students in schools in different settings, would you be willing to consider those prospective students?
Yes, we would. And I think an important element is not the statement you make to Prospect Burma, but the statement you make for the why you want to do the PGCE. And that helps me understand why someone wants to come on this course. And that's the extra evidence, if you like, that I would use as the programme director. I'm the admissions tutor as well. So that's the sort of extra evidence I would use. I might even ask to meet you online, to have a little conversation to make sure if I was unsure. But I believe that the course has the openness and flexibility to enhance learning and teaching almost at any level. But then, of course, I'm originally a primary teacher, so I believe that teachers are teachers wherever they are.
So there are a couple of questions asking whether or not whether they need to they should apply directly to the Prospect Burma scholarship before applying to the PGCE. Could you clarify that?
I think that question is for me and everyone. So, but I'm going to take a lead and answer this question. So, the interested student, they have to apply for a Prosper Burma online scholarship. In the essay, in the application there is an essay asking like why you apply for this program. So make sure that you answer that question like properly. After, if you are shortlisted, we'll screen the application and then we'll forward to UCL. And if you are shortlisted, we'll contact you again. So you don't have to apply directly to the UCL. So because we'll be assisting you with that sort of application process, but only who receive the final admission at the end will be given the scholarship.
Yeah. So just to clarify, at some point, everybody does need to apply through University of London website, because that's part of, that's how all our universities are assessed on their application process, right the way through to their assessment processes. So our registry make final decisions, but usually on my support.
And sorry, Kevin.
No, I'm just like repeating sort of the same the answer. So if you are shortlisted, we'll advise you to apply directly to the UCL,
University of London. It's not UCL, and I think that's something. It is UCL. We are teaching it at UCL, but because of this federation relationship, the program is validated by the University of London. And actually, if you go on UCL website, you won't find this program mentioned anywhere. It's not mentioned at all, and that's to avoid confusion. It's on the University of London website, and I have put that into a couple of typed answers already.
Yeah. So just to pick up on that, there is an application fee, isn't there, for applying?
Yes.
Now, I think what we have said previously is that if you were successful in getting a scholarship, then that would also cover that the application fee will be reimbursed, but you will have to pay an application fee when you apply.
And the reimbursement is not by University of London at this point, it's by Prospect Burma.
Okay, so
the application fee for the coming academic year is £65.
So there is also a question that I saw about the transfer of credits from the PGCE to another university. Do you want to say something about that, Kim?
So the PGCE, it's called a PGCE, not a PG Cert. And that is because under our regulations in this country, PGCEs were designed and developed to have transferable credits into relevant master's level qualifications. Because this is it says PGCE, but the full title, which we don't write out because it's so long, is a Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, known as a PGCE. Because of that long, because it's called a PGCE, it means that universities, certainly in the UK, will consider accepting in, it's called, oh, I forgot what it's called. Sorry, that's gone out of my head. But they will accept credits. Now, because it's only a professional graduate certificate in education, it's at level 6. So our credits are level 6 credits, and you can only transfer 30 level 6 credits into a master's program. We are looking, because the program is becoming more popular at developing it at developing master's pathways from it into a teacher education teaching masters in teaching. We have to work out the name, and therefore we will soon be applying to update the credits so that they can be at level 7 as well. And whether you are studying at level 6 or 7 will depend on the baseline coming in. So you would need a good honours degree. You'd need a good level 6 qualification before you could do level 7 credits. But again, we look at each application. Does that answer, have I answered all elements of that question about transfer?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes,
I think it's
absolutely.
going to be a different scenario for students who want to transfer from University of London. I have to be like careful with the name of the uni. That the PCGE credit to other institution like outside of the land, like UK, or it's going to be
So
different.
it's in the UK because this qualification is recognised by the QAA, the Quality Assurance Association. I can't remember the proper term. It's all university in the UK that have accredited this sort of level qualification that is internationally recognised have demonstrated that quality, and most universities will accept. I do know it is important to remember they'll only accept it if it's relevant. So if you wanted to bring 30 or even 60 credits from the PGCE into a Master of Philosophy, you are likely to be turned down because a Master of Philosophy is a very different degree. And those credits can't be mapped, probably. I'd find it very difficult, and I'm very good at making those connections. So it does need to be a relevant degree. And that's why working with University of London, the IOE is looking at developing master's modules and a dissertation so that people have a pathway from this programme.
There's a recent question here asking that they're already studying a degree but would like a Prospect Burma scholarship, and so then asked whether they could sort of apply for this because they've got a bit of spare time. I think the answer there in terms of this is a very full-on course, and you need to be teaching, you need to have space to reflect on your teaching. So it really it's not something that you can combine with anything else.
Thank you very much, Eileen. You would be rejected if you sent an application that said, so I'm not finishing study until 2 years' time in my, even whatever it is. You can't do more than one, not at this level and in this quality. It's full on.
So, I mean, we have a number of questions. I think that we've kind of answered some of them. There were some questions about English language. Is it also the case that you would think about English levels case by case,
Yes,
Kim?
we do. We do.
So, I mean, so because
I don't want to let anyone start our programme if their English is not strong enough, because you will not succeed. It's a lot of thinking. You have to start thinking in English, and it's not fair to say, yes, come on, because you'll be able to. We can't support learning of English What I would say is if you're intermediate English level, you will find that you do a lot more thinking in English, and it will also enhance your English while you're on the course. But you need, your essays need to be written at a level, a standard that is of a good level of English.
And so some of the questions where people are saying, well, like, you know, I've got a degree that I studied in English at an English speaking university, that it's likely that those people would have the required level.
It is very likely. We have to also be careful. I did a great deal of work in Jordan recently, before pandemic, that is, and we were assured in Jordan that all maths, science, and of course English students studied their degrees in English. We discovered that their English, even the English students, the students who were teaching English, were not of a high quality, and they really did struggle. We had to do a great deal of work with them. That was not for this program, that was for something else. But just because your university says they do something in English, it does depend on the institution. And again, what will happen is registry will send things over to me where they say, we are concerned about this university qualification. Certainly at UCL, our expectations are the last 2 years before of study in a degree in English, using English as the medium of instruction, and the fact that you're writing in English as well.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. So I think there's one really important question that someone has asked about making the payment for the application fee. I'm aware that if someone is based in Thailand or in Myanmar, making a payment in the British pound can be really tricky. And it's because the credit cards and those sorts of things don't really work from this part of the world. So is there a way that this could be addressed in a student-friendly way? For example, if the candidate has been shortlisted, when their application is submitted to University of London, the application fee is organized by Prospect Burma without the student having to find another way, which could be tricky.
I would need to talk to University of London about that.
No, Kim, I was suggesting that when the application is submitted, the shortlisted student's application fee is paid by Prospect Burma, so that University of London doesn't need to be involved. Whether Prospect Burma can organize that.
I think it's going to be tricky. It depends on what the payment method are preferred by the University of London. Sometimes if they require each applicant to pay through credit card, then we cannot support that. But if just sort of a bank transfer with providing like application number references, then we could do that. But if it's through individual payment to credit card, I'm afraid we cannot do that.
So it looks like something that we need to investigate, actually, doesn't it?
They use Western Union Quick Pay.
Oh, okay.
I'm just looking on the website. It says paying for your course, and they've got a lot of information, and you can pay for your fees in a number of ways. These include Flywire, our online payment facility via your student portal. All I can say is University of London are very used to working globally in getting fees. We do have a problem with some countries where internal taxes are imposed on money going out of the country. Nigeria is one, and we've discovered that the Nigerian government can charge £300 to a student for paying our fees. We can't manage internal countries' systems, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be too worried with this because first for the student just submit your application to us, and then we'll share with UCL. We'll make sure that you're eligible, and then based on that, we'll send out the short list. If you are shortlisted, Prosper Burma will be there supporting you how to go through that process because each student, your needs is quite unique and different. So we'll be there to support you.
So one of the questions I noticed asked for how many, the number of scholarships that we might be able to support. Do we want to share that with people?
I'm afraid we cannot disclose that information yet because it depends on the funding availability, like also number of how many students qualify, so that'll be a bit difficult to answer.
And I see there's a question to me about the program using Moodle virtual learning environment. Yes, the teaching is asynchronous. And that's because if we're working globally, we've got people working from across time zones. We have added in opportunities for virtual face-to-face sessions. So particularly in the first 2 months, so it's particularly in March and April and September and October, we have a weekly open, we call it open office. You can pop in and ask any questions if you want to. It's not teaching. We don't do any teaching using synchronous Zoom or online videos. Everything is, as far as possible, is asynchronous. But sometimes people like to be able to just connect, even eye to eye we use Teams, Microsoft Teams.
It might be useful for colleagues to know that if you have never experienced online learning, we also offer online courses, which are called co-designed massive open online collaborations. And one of such courses was launched very recently, which is called Understanding Education in Conflict and Crisis Settings. And this is a course which was co-developed with refugee and migrant education communities that are based on the Thai-Myanmar border. So this course really provides both the foundational understanding of the kind of challenges that teachers face in conflict and crisis settings, but also how to learn online collaboratively and familiarize with learning materials, at your own pace. As Kim suggested, this is asynchronous, which means that you can learn at your own pace, engage with materials at your own pace, translate the materials and try and understand what that means and engage in conversations with other learners. So I would very highly recommend familiarizing with that. As you can see, Irene had just posted the link for the course. That's another way of preparing for the qualifications, which will be recognized by Kim's program.
Thank you, Tejendra. So that's very helpful. We're nearly out of time, so I think that we should let's have a look at outstanding questions. Anything else we can quickly answer? So there's somebody asking about the dates, because we're saying apply for the bursary, then we'll let you know if you're shortlisted. That will come in enough time for you to be able to apply for the program. So not to worry that you might not get the formal result then, but you'll be in time to apply. That some people are saying, oh, well, you know, I've studied a number of years at university, but I didn't graduate. If you've reached the second year of a university, then that's a level 5 qualification, and that you would be eligible. So, and if you haven't got those qualifications, as Kim has said, she'll consider things on a case-by-case basis. What else can we respond?
There's one about is it equal to a bachelor degree? I think level 6 is the 3rd year normally of a bachelor degree. So there is some equivalency, but it's not equal to a bachelor degree. If you've done an undergraduate bachelor degree and you've got the full honours, that is a very different sort of program to our program, but it gives a sense of the level.
It gives a sense of the level, and so if you wanted to go on to further study, you would be able to demonstrate that you could work at degree level, and that combined with experience can, depending of course on the kind of say master's program that you wanted to apply to, can be a way into a master's program. I mean, as you know, we've all been program leaders for master's degrees, and you know, if we have applicants who are experienced, you know, professionals, then that counts an enormous amount, and so therefore then being able to demonstrate that you can work at a degree level is in combination with experience can be effective. But you get 360 credits at an undergraduate degree, whereas this is just 60 credits, so that's really the difference.
And 60 credits is the equivalent to 600 notional learning hours, which just shows you how in-depth it is. That's how much time it will take over the period of the learning.
Yes.
Can I confirm? So there's a practicum aspect to the program.
Sorry, I missed that, so.
Is there a practicum aspect to the program, so kind of like a placement, sort of?
I mean, practicum, any sort of placement required?
No, the placement is your own setting. So there is a requirement that you have access to learning. Some people have asked, I work as a teacher in different settings. So we've had people working in what's known as shadow education in China. We've had people working in homeschooling, but because they're working with children, with students, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, so just finally, just a question that Kim has already really answered. It's an asynchronous course. There are some sessions that you can join on Zoom, but they're not required. So it is appropriate if your internet is not so stable. Somebody's asking about, can you attend graduation in person? And I'm just thinking that might be a nice question to end on. Kim,
It's a lovely one. In fact, we had the graduation ceremony 2 weeks ago. One of the challenges we do have in this country at the moment is that the government may not allow visas for, it used to be that you could just come in on a visitor's visa, but the world is changing, isn't it? And sadly, some of our students who applied for visas were not given them because, of course, they wanted their family to come as well to see. And unfortunately, our Home Office at the moment thinks that if you're bringing family into country as well, you're going to disappear. But yes, you will be invited to graduation. One thing we are doing, University of London is doing, is where there are large numbers, we are now offering opportunity for graduation in country. And that's working with different partners in the country. So for example, next year we're hoping to offer up graduation in Pakistan, because it was many of our Pakistani students who were not allowed in on their visas. You're
So,
invited, but
so
Mhm.
I think that we're going to have to finish now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for everybody for joining and for your interest in the bursary and the scholarship, I should say, and the PGCE course. You know, we encourage you to consider all the information on the Prospect Burma website and the University of London website for the PGCE teacher development, and good luck if you choose to apply.
Yeah. So thanks very much for attending, everyone, and thanks Prospect Burma for collaborating and supporting this initiative.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
thank
Okay.
you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.